Let us know when we're live.
Starting.
1, 2,
Oh my God, here we go.
3.
Hi everybody, welcome to a live from the Ugly Couch edition of the Zoomph Pro Tip. Today we're doing something a little bit different than our normal Pro Tips. As you know, I'm James. I have with me today Juliana Romero from the Zoomph CX team. And today we also have a very special guest with us, is Joe Gibson. He's the Program Director for the International Humanitarian Law Division of the American Red Cross.
You promoted me, I appreciate it. I'm a program officer on the team.
Program officer.
I'm gunning for it. We'll find.
Yeah, there we go. So,
hey, hi guys.
Yeah, so Joe was so kind to kind of really just kind of bring all this equipment here and bring this idea to us here at Zoomph, where he wanted to kind of do a live stream just to chat about, you know, what Zoomph does, what the American Red Cross is doing, and what he does specifically, and just kind of share the American Red Cross's experience with the platform and how we're using it how they're going to be using it going forward. So actually, Juliana, if you don't mind, maybe just kind of share with everybody a little bit about what Zoomph is and what we do.
Sure. So Zoomph is an influencer engagement platform, and what we do is we collect and we rank social media from Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and Instagram, and we take that content and that chaos that is social media, and we funnel it out to visuals and also back-end analytics, so we can tell you who your top influences are of your brand, when the best time of day to tweet are, and just really get a good look and insight into your social media and how it is relevant to you as a company, as a business.
Awesome. So, Joe, do you mind sharing just a little bit of background about maybe yourself and kind of what you do at the American Red Cross?
Absolutely. So my name is Joe Gibson again. Hi to everybody who's watching. I'm a program officer, program officer on the American Red Cross International Humanitarian Law team. So I'm part of a team of 14 people in Washington, D.C. It's our international services, part of international services. And our job is to educate the American public about the Geneva Conventions, which is the laws of armed conflict. So anytime you've heard about Geneva Conventions or rules of engagement, the Red Cross is there to make sure that civilians and injured soldiers are not experiencing any kind of undue suffering. And as part of our mission to educate the American public, we're always looking for new tools to get out there, such as the live streaming equipment that's in this room. And over the last year and a half now, I believe we've been using Zoomph, which has been absolutely incredible.
It's awesome.
I'm not getting paid to be here or anything. American Red Cross, we pay for an account of Zoomph. We found it very useful, and we definitely jumped at the opportunity to talk a little bit about its capabilities, where it might be going, and just how we use it, because a lot of our partner organizations, especially in the humanitarian or NGO field, could really use this tool as well.
Awesome. So let me ask you this. I guess, where did you guys come to, what was the spark that started you guys wondering, hey, we need a tool out there that'll help us kind of educate, that'll kind of spread messages? Where did that whole kind of conversation start for you guys?
I mean, I'd love to say that we came up with the idea that we needed to do better social engagement, outreach, visualization, but in reality, it was actually Zoomph that sparked our interest in that.
Okay.
So we were approached by a rep from Zoomph. We'd never heard of it before. At that point, it was still the little small startup in Reston, Virginia.
Yep.
We thought it was really cool, and we tried it out at a couple of events. So that was our last year, right? We loved it. And I think we're going to get more into what it can do specifically at events, which is something we focus on in our educating the American public, pillar of our work. But over that year that we used Zoomph, we started inputting it into everything that we did because it was so useful. Yep. So the number that we came out with at the end of last year, which was just incredibly impressive for us, our social engagement last fiscal year for the American Red Cross International Humanitarian Law team, we actually, what was it, 40 times? We went 40 times above that this last year.
Wow.
So Zoomph, that's almost entirely attributed to Zoomph. It sparked our interest in social engagement, and I think that's been a huge benefit to our team. So we might not have had this priority before, but now that we knew we could interact with that and that there were tools for us to do that, we've definitely jumped on it.
That's incredible
awesome.
to hear.
That's great to hear.
We've definitely, we thought that we kind of built a tool mainly for the purposes of like marketing and events. We have a lot of event displays like the one behind us here, just as an example for our viewers who aren't quite familiar with what we do. But I guess you guys were kind of the first people that really came to us with this kind of idea of using it for any humanitarian purposes. And I guess from what we've heard from you, we've really been able to, in some instances, kind of have a direct impact on almost people's lives, so to speak, in the way that people are being taken care of in disasters, and things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, the mission of the American Red Cross is to alleviate human suffering. I mean, and everything that we do contributes to that mission. We're very mission driven, and we've all got it memorized. It's written in marble on the floor. It's everywhere. So we don't really I guess, take the time to use tools that aren't going to help with that. We're incredibly busy. We're responding to more disasters than ever before. But specifically in the educational side of things with humanitarian law, I mean, any tool that's gonna put the word out is gonna have an impact that we can't even quantify. So we do, for example, simulations with law students that may become JAGs that will be in the military. You don't even know. I mean, 40 years of a career that they're going to have, and that we were able to reach them using a tool like Zoomph and educate them about something like the Geneva Conventions. I mean, the impact is so far out there, it's hard to calculate, but you know that it's happening, and we've heard that from people as well. So, thinking about this last year, it's a team of 14 people that do specifically international humanitarian law, and our social reach was 18.1 million for the year, which we just could not have dreamed of doing before.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, we're punching above our weight. We have the opportunity to share these, and maybe, just maybe, some of these 18.1 million people are going to take to heart what we've been able to share with them. And that is very valuable, and that contributes to our mission.
Wow, that's awesome. Juliana, just to maybe give a little more context, do you want to maybe give a little background on how the kind of steps behind the platform, maybe how Joe kind of starts and how the platform itself kind of works in terms of creating the social engagement, in terms of creating feeds and things like that and tracking?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, so we connect to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Google+. So you as a user, as Red Cross, you would just choose which hashtags you want to search from, Twitter handles. We also have a feature of geolocation, so you can kind of like do a geofence around a certain city and see who's talking about Red Cross in that city versus another city. So just a way to compare and contrast in that sense. So you would set up your feed in that way, and I like to think of feeds like social campaigns. So you set up your feed, and then when you set up your feed, you go into moderation, and you see in all that your feed pulled in. So you have the author, who said it, where it came from, and then you can kind of filter by what you're trying to look for. So if you're searching for certain for across certain disasters that might have happened, you can just really filter through that way. We have our Elasticsearch feature that allows you to really be extensive in your search, more than the normal Twitter search. So then you do that, and then if you want to display a visual kind of like that, all you would do would be to connect your feed to all of our collages, our social hubs, or our event displays.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I was just going to jump in because you basically just described what we've been doing. So a year ago we wouldn't have considered this, but when we are preparing for an event, and that's something we do at least once a month, it's a huge part of our team, these public events that we run. Now one of the discussions we have so early on is, what is the hashtag going to be? What is our social interaction going to look like? We wouldn't have had that discussion before. It would have been an afterthought, like, hey, we should have a hashtag, guys.
Yeah.
These days it's something that's really important to us. So what we do with that, as you mentioned, is we'll build out a feed, and we're actually able to track who's talking about the event, what they're saying. We're able to see sentiment. But one of the things that's been most valuable, and the tools that you guys have built into Zoomph, is we're able to know from that audience things like gender or ethnicity. We're able to understand our audience in a way that we couldn't before. And speaking on just the humanitarian community, that's something that's very, very valuable. And we've definitely seen that spread, and people that have attended our events have been very excited by that. And that's us tracking things, that's us seeing things, right? But the visualizations have also been something that have been a tool. So we've got our little TV back here, but we've got projectors at events that are showing these visualizations, and it encourages people to participate, as you guys know.
Yeah, definitely.
That's been huge.
Engagement.
Yep. Definitely. So we've seen people that they will sit there with their phone and tweet, right, and they're waiting for it to pop up, and they're excited about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all do it too, and we're all super excited when our tweets show up on that board.
Yes.
And there's a variety of them. One of the things that we perhaps were looking for more, a year ago when we first started working with Zoomph, was a variety of visualizations.
Yep.
And we obviously, bugged you guys all the time about it. We send a lot of emails of, hey, we'd love this.
Sure, yeah.
And the variety of visualizations have really popped up. Actually, you could probably talk more about what you guys offer in that, but it's really added to kind of the repertoire of things that we can work with at events.
Yeah, sure. I was just going to say, so for some of our users who aren't quite familiar with kind of the visual aspect and the event aspect. So what's really great is about these visualizations is that you put up these giant screens with all these tweets and Instagram posts or whatever it might be with your event hashtag, and then people at the event are constantly tweeting, like you said, they want to get on the board. We actually have a leaderboard feature where you can put up like the most engaging people, and what that really does is it not only for creating participation at the event, but everybody else who's at home or on their mobile device, on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram, they're seeing all these tweets and these posts come through about this event. And even though they're not there, they can still follow along. They can still engage. They can ask questions. and they can, and then for the case of the American Red Cross, you guys can really still have people educated and just being made aware of everything you guys are trying to put out there.
Sure. As far as the leaderboard, my boss and I have a bit of a competition who ends up a little bit higher on that.
Sure,
and I've been beating her recently, so I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Hi, Jane. But I might not have a job when I get back. No, but one of the other things I wanted to mention too is that these events that we've held here in DC, we're headquartered in DC. The American Red Cross is, but we've got our 800 chapters around the country. It's important to us when we're talking about something like humanitarian law or anything that we do at the Red Cross that we have a variety of voices in the room. We want people to have the chance to have their voices heard. Accessibility to our events was something that we worried about. You have an event in DC, but what about the people in California and Wyoming or Minnesota?
Yeah.
So the combination of Zoomph and the live streaming has just revolutionized our accessibility. So people can send in questions to speakers.
Exactly.
Which really just from a corporate side, so speaking maybe away from the humanitarian, but just any large organization, your employees and people that you work with, donors, volunteers, they're actually able to engage with something that's happening hundreds, thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
That has been something that's invaluable to us, and that we hope is going to continue to be a part of what Zoomph does, because we've loved it.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
Oh,
I was gonna say, the
the
best part about our platform is that it's in real time. You know, I've seen other platforms where it takes a couple minutes or anything, but Twitter is in real time. As people are tweeting, it's on there. And what's great about these visuals, they look so complex, but they're just simple URLs that you can share all over social media and to people who might not be at the event physically.
And it's just kind of a follow-up to what you're saying. Do you ever have a ballpark number, or maybe just a general idea of like what the American Red Cross's kind of social media following was like maybe before Zoomph, and then what it's kind of like now, where you kind of see it going?
So we've got a variety of different groups within the Red Cross using different social media tools. So the one I can speak for, there's a national social media for the American Red Cross, which is very well run. We've got a lot of great teams working on that. Specifically for our unit, and this is one of the unique things, is we may be small, but Zoomph has allowed us to really take a chunk of that social media and really work with it. So our numbers prior to this, we had maybe annually like 100 to 200,000 in social reach. We weren't doing much online, so you compare that with the 18.1 million, and that's something now that we report to donors. They want to know that we're getting the word out, right? So it's not just a number that's kind of interesting. I mean, as an organization, I can look at a donor and say we're really reaching people, and that's important to them. So it's definitely revolutionized what we've been doing with social media and online. And like I said, I'd love to say that we had the idea to come in and really revolutionize what we were doing and work harder with social, but the fact that the tool existed and that we started using it really did help drive us there, and we're going to be continuing to do that. So I think it was, as I said, 40 times larger than last year, which means this year we're probably going to go well beyond that even again, I hope, right? But we're definitely going to keep using the tool, and it's definitely going to increase what we're able to do online.
That's awesome. So just kind of maybe dive in a little deeper. What are some of your kind of top features, or from a user experience standpoint, what are some of your favorite features, some of the favorite parts you have with the platform in general?
So I'm trying to think what we use. Pretty much all the features I think within Zoomph. I've explored everything in there. Most of our team has. So I think specifically with events, we use the visualizations. That's just a standard thing. Like it's got to be there now.
That's awesome.
I think I actually forgot to set it up in an event once, and people were really confused. Like, where is it? So they expect it to be there now. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We have to do it now. But we really love the visualizations. But what really has been probably the tool that we've utilized the most has been the tracking of the audience online. So we've seen different events and different topics, and we're able to kind of see our own actions in real time. So if we run an event in a particular way and our audience is perhaps more female than male, or vice versa with a different topic, we're able to actually see what we're doing impact our audience real time. And for an organization like the Red Cross that's so large, and our team being a specific part of that, doing this law of armed conflict, it's important that we're reaching the right audiences, and we can actually see that. So that tool has been incredible. In fact, we've, I think, been just wowed people with the information we're able to give them on that audience. And I know that's continuing to evolve, but that is just the one thing that we've loved the most. In addition to the visualizations, which have been wonderful. I think we're starting to get more into using, something like on the widget side or the dashboard side. One of the things we've been looking for, and I will continue to bug you guys about too, is as we've started using Zoomph to report out the information we're getting from it, we're looking for easier ways to also take that information and export it into, kind of beautiful reports. So
Yeah.
the visualizations are awesome, and that's something we use right now, but we're really looking to get that information out there. So you guys are kind of falling victim to your own success, as we want to get the word out about what's working. So something to think about as we keep moving forward and use it. But those are the tools we've used the most so far.
That's awesome. Do you want to just kind of share with everybody kind of what he was referring to in terms of like the demographics and the audience demographics and the different analytics tools we have?
Yeah, so after you created the feed, obviously you'll get all these analytics, and the best part of analytics, again, it's in real time, so it's not like if these are your analytics that are happening now or later, but this is as it's happening. So you can kind of zoom in the conversation. So if the event is maybe a certain 2 days, you can kind of zoom in and see like the peaks and valleys of the event. And then you can kind of scroll down and you'll see the demographics of who your audience is. So not only what they're saying, but who they are, what's their background, are there mostly males versus females talking about a certain topic, ethnicity and generation, as you mentioned before. So yeah.
That's awesome. So I guess you actually came in here a couple of weeks ago, which is how this whole conversation got started.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we were talking about some new ideas, new things you wanted to tackle. I think one of the things we had, or one of the things we talked about, was sort of the geolocation aspect. So for our users who aren't aware, one of Zoom's kind of one of our bread and butter tools, one of the big tools on our platform is geolocation and geo-targeting. So what we're able to do is actually kind of see exactly where people are posting and tweeting from based on their actual phone, not where they say they're from, but actually where they're tweeting from, where they're posting from on Instagram. And we do a couple different things. We can geo-target, so you can basically put a fence around, let's say, Reston, Virginia, where we are right now, and say, what are people tweeting about? What are people talking about in Reston, Virginia? I want to know. I want to kind of get in touch with everybody in Reston, because that's where my small business is, or that's where my organization is. I want to target people in Reston. Or I just kind of want to look at, you know what? I'm following this hashtag, I'm following this natural disaster or whatever it might be, and I want to locate those people and help them. So is that something you guys have used? Is it something you're looking to use more? Maybe go a little more into that?
Yeah, I mean, we actually have used another tool that's out there too, Radiant 6, which is something that Dell very kindly provided to the American Red Cross that we've been utilizing. And like I said, that's kind of the national American Red Cross, and that tool is excellent for a large organization. And I think Zoomph is in a slightly different space than that, in that it's something that's very easy to use and can be kind of plugged in a lot of ways to what specific departments or groups within an organization or small organizations can use, and it's very light on its feet. Sure. So I mean, kind of looking at all the different tools out there, the geolocation has been something that is very important to us and that we have used Zoomph for. So in the example of either a conflict zone, which is something that Geneva Conventions, IHL is a huge part of. You can actually see where things are happening, whether your message is getting out there, who's talking about what, and that's something we haven't really, I think, gotten into in a way that, I guess we haven't used it to its potential quite yet, but we're getting there and we're having those discussions, which is why I was here talking with your team about what we could do with that, and that's one of the most exciting things too. Just to plug you guys for this a little bit, having the chance to actually talk to you guys about it. You're very responsive, online or in person.
We try to be.
The amount of emails and tweets you guys must respond to, I'm actually a little concerned for your guys' health at this point. But that's something that's been a huge plus, and we're going to use it more. So I think my personal side of this is I hope it's something that with both corporate and humanitarian communities, we can actually kind of work in tandem to develop those tools and say this is what we're looking for, and I think just the way you guys are running right now, that's just naturally how it's going to evolve, and we love that. So
that's great. So maybe just to touch on just I guess how easy or if difficult you found it all with just the initial setup of Zoom, your feeds, event displays. Touch on that a little bit.
I mean, I was pretty intimidated first off. I mean, social analytics. You can throw out all these words, and it does seem very intimidating at first. Zoomph is very easy to use, so every time we have a new staff member or intern or whoever come on our team, we create an account within Zoomph for them, and they're basically able to play around in it and get a pretty good idea of how it's going to function right off the bat. So that's been a huge plus working with Zoomph. It's been user-friendly, and it's something that people can kind of understand too. Maybe it's the visualization as well, but it's just it's built to so you can look at it and see it, and that's been great. So it's definitely something you can plug and play, and it I think, as I said, we were almost cold called by a Zoomph rep and said, okay, let's check this out, it's cool. For any humanitarian organization or other groups out there that are looking for something like this, just give it a shot, try it out. I think there's a free version out there you can play with for a while. I think you'll be surprised at how easy it is to use, and we definitely have taken it well beyond that, and we're glad that we have. So
and if you wanted to reach out to us with any questions, you totally could, because we're always available.
Always available all the time. You can really tweet at these guys.
So I guess kind of segueing into where you think we fit into the nonprofit or the humanitarian space, just I guess what you've experienced and what you think the potential is for the use of social media, maybe just in general, maybe not just Zoom, maybe the use of just social media in general in the humanitarian space.
Absolutely. So I mean, the humanitarian space is something that's huge, but there are just, you find tools that are useful to that. So having information on your audience or who you're speaking to, having the opportunity to learn about, your own online presence in a way, and then also just to make things more accessible to yourself. So those visualizations, they're great at an event. They're great, if you're trying to build that social buzz, but they're actually a pretty good way too to just keep an eye on your audience. Like having a monitor up with Zoomph, we just left these things on for time, and you learn a lot about what people are saying, when they're saying it, their sentiment, all these things. So there's just a lot in there about understanding your own audience, which in a time when there's so much white noise out there, the humanitarian community is trying to find probably its place and how it gets the word out. Because we want, and this is the key, why we really I think jumped on it, we want these humanitarian discussions to be accessible to everyone. It shouldn't just be the groups in DC, big city, somewhere else, anywhere in the world. Everyone should have the chance to take part, have their voices heard, and tools like Zoomph definitely contribute to that. So that's where I think we're hoping to go as a humanitarian community. As a member of that, I hope that's where we are headed, and I'd hope people use these online tools to help facilitate that. Live streaming, Zoomph, and everything that we've talked about here today.
That's awesome. And you talked about just kind of a wrap up here. I guess, what are you kind of looking for next from us? As we're a platform that was built as a little project, that where somebody called us and said, we wanted some social media visuals. Can you guys create that? We're like, you know what? Yeah. So we really pride ourselves on providing a really user-friendly experience and providing people with what they want. We have all these great ideas, but we're a little biased. We spend time on the platform every day. But I guess, what are you looking for next steps and to kind of help you guys take it to the next level in terms of what you're doing?
I think it's the next step of being able to communicate what Zoomph is telling us. So being able to send out the reports. I think at the moment right now, we've all got our crazy Excel sheets with data on social reach and numbers, but it would be really nice if we're able to help communicate out what Zoomph is doing, right? So you guys have built this great tool. In the future, I'd really like to be able to, I guess, visualize what the visualizations have done for us in a way. So it's some kind of next step here, inception style, but we'd really like to be able to get the word out about that, and that makes reporting a lot easier. So whether you're in a corporate environment or you're in the humanitarian sphere, reporting is always going to be something you're doing. So making sure that this information can be reported out in a way that's going to be accessible both to the younger tech crowd that you're going to see, but also the execs and people that might not be as familiar or comfortable. Just making that very, very accessible to them would be a huge step forward, and I know we're probably headed there. But that's something that at that point then the tool just becomes more and more useful. So.
I would say that our best features come from clients like you, but we the way we work is we work every 2 weeks, but we have new updates, and so hearing stuff like that is really great for us to be able to implement that in our next updates. So,
and like I said, you've been very responsive about it, and that's something too. Again, to colleagues in the humanitarian sphere, reach out, chat, throw ideas out.
Exactly.
It's been a lot of fun too. It hasn't just been, it's been effective and it's done a lot, but it's been a lot of fun working with Zoomph and using the tool.
That's awesome. This was obviously just a really great chat. I know it wasn't really long. I know we're kind of running a little tight on time here, so. Joe, we just really appreciate your time. Obviously, we've had a great working relationship with you, and we really look forward to what we have going forward. And we hope to kind of really help spread the word for everything you're doing, every humanitarian organization out there, any nonprofits. Give us a ring. We'd really like to help you. Kind of reach your audience, reach your people, educate. And with that, if you ever want to give us a shout, if you ever want to kind of see a demo, or just want to chat about what you're doing on social, give us a holler. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, @Zoomph, just ZOOMPH. You can shoot us an email at info@zoomph.com. You can contact us. You can contact maybe, I know Joe's information's out there. And with that, again, we really appreciate your time, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.